SPY is up 1.3%, VIX is down about 12%, Ethereum and Bitcoin and the rest of crypto continue to rise, but don't get too excited. Last night we saw a mass amount of Ethereum outflows, ending its 20-day streak that it was on for Ethereum net inflows. We also saw a major outflow day over on Bitcoin ETFs, and we are seeing some other warning signals as well, like Berkshire Hathaway's cash position continuing to rise. In fact, 30% of their total assets are sitting in cash, which is the most ever reported in history. What is going on, guys? Lottery Stocks here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, watch until the end of the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are going to be talking about a lot of stuff here, including AMC and GameStop, so make sure to pay attention until the end. Guys, before we get into the video, I do want to talk about today's sponsor. It's a sponsored stock, which is BioStem Technologies. Now, before you skip to the chapters at the bottom of the video, we covered this penny stock several times in the past. In fact, this big green line back here was the very first time I actually brought up the stock. And since we have covered the stock and talked about the stock, investors could have made over 1,100% on it, and still date to date, it's up 388% since the time we covered it. So this is not one that you are going to want to skip over. I bring it to your attention for a reason. They have earnings coming up August 14th on Thursday. Now, speaking of their earnings, in 2024, their annual revenue was up $301.8 million, which was up 1,700% year over year. And now their Q1 of 2025 revenue rose to $72.5 million, which was up 73% year over year. And net income was up $4.5 million, or 27 cents a share. Adjusted EBITDA, $7.8 million, and gross margin improved to 99% thanks to product mix efficiencies. Now, I'll go over it very briefly in case you guys want to take a look at it. BioStem is a regenerative med tech company that develops and commercializes placental-derived biologic allografts. This company helps people, and they are doing well, in which case those are my two factors where I decide if I want to promote a company or not, or put it on your radar. Now, they sell high-margin allograft products typically used in chronic wound care, in hospitals, ambulatory, and post-acute settings, and their gross margin exceeds 95%, which is now 99%, reflecting minimal cost of biologic raw material and scalability. Here is their product portfolio in case you actually want to look into them, or maybe your families need some sort of medicine. Early 2025 revenue growth is largely driven by the rollout of a couple of these products, Vendaje AC and sustained demand for AmnioWrap2. Now, the company has initiated multiple clinical trials following breakthrough results in 2024, showing superior efficacy versus standard care, and they are awaiting a potential NASDAQ listing, which they filed for last year, and they are possibly going to get that. And I think that's why a lot of institutional money is flowing into this play, not only because of their high scalability as well as their revenue. They are growing very well. Again, this was a penny stock, and now we're trading at $11.33, which I still believe is undervalued. So investment highlights include lightning fast growth revenue CAGR of 393% over 3 years, from just $5 million in early 2023 to $300 million plus in 2024, which is huge. And then high profitability, gross margins are around 95 to 99%, EBITDA consistently positive, and 5 consecutive quarters of GAAP at net income. Regulatory upside, CMS reimbursement, and pipeline clinical trials support expanding payer access, and of course that potential NASDAQ uplisting expected to enhance trading visibility and liquidity, which you guys will see if that goes through. This stock will be long forgotten that I was covering. In fact, people will have so many eyes on it. Now, that is it for the sponsored stock. Let me know about BioStem in the comments down below, what you guys are thinking about this. Have you owned it? I already know several of you have made tons and tons of money on this company and will continue to buy. SPY is at 630. We came all the way up to the 0.5 on the fib after getting this harsh sell-off. Now, there is no reason we shouldn't have gotten a bounce, except that the fear was kind of brewing higher. The VIX was high. The fear and greed index dropped to neutral. What we saw was profit taking, but we saw it kind of at a rapid pace. We saw volume spike, and that is exactly why I believe we're getting a bounce, possibly to fill the gap at 630.85. Between 630.85 and 632, as of right now, I'm watching for a rejection on the SPY. But we are in a bull market, and we got a panic sell-off, which means we could be very fast. We could be in a very fast recovery on the SPY Again, like I said, don't get too excited as signs are pointing towards a little bit of fear over the next couple of weeks. Next couple of weeks, as in not next couple of months. I do believe we still see a possible peak for several different things. We'll talk about it kind of mid-August or early September. Now, also, same time around this time frame, the past few years, the SPY decided that it was very volatile. It either wanted to jump a lot or it wanted to dive a lot, and you could basically see all of your returns for the year diminish or double in only the month of August. So just be prepared for a roller coaster, to say the least. Now, it took me X amount of days to realize that my mom's birthday is the same birthday as Ryan Cohen. So shout out Ryan Cohen. Happy birthday to him. People are posting that all over on X. Now, there's a couple things that I want to cover. You guys know that we talk about Ethereum Classic correlation with AMC. Well, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to the Ultimator over on X. Let's take a look at some DD. He says, I love looking at GME against quantity of Ethereum. Every time the rate of change of the Ethereum supply shifts, GameStop has some sort of volatility event. Most recently, the speculation/news that GameStop purchased Bitcoin caused the stock to shoot up to $36 before dropping like a rock. And it was an obvious swap event, which I completely agree with. And at the same moment, the Ethereum supply just started flatlining/slightly declining. I'm also willing to bet that the two are not unrelated. Now, they don't have to be related, but it does seem as if they are related. And if that is the case, the way Ethereum is trading is prepping for GameStop to have a volatility event in the very, very near future, long story short. Now, we also talk about how, and we have talked about how AMC and Ethereum Classic have the same exact traction amongst each other, and I can show you that in case you've never heard of that. These are their charts. They are basically identical every single time one rips, the other rips past it, and very similar percentage gains. To say the least, Ethereum Classic is holding its own. It's up another 4.3% today, even though AMC kind of got this first move and then a lesser move than Ethereum Classic, and now is about down here, kind of signaling a double top. This is what AMC looks like right now. This is what Ethereum Classic looks like right now, which I believe there is pressure building on AMC and it's waiting to catch up to this move. But I also believe it's waiting for GameStop. I think some sort of swap situation is about to happen, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. Japan's bond market is at a tipping point. The 10-year yield just dropped under 1.5% right before a key auction. If demand dries up, yields will spike in global markets, especially the US will feel it. In fact, that will also cause capital rotation, one dumping SPY, possibly dumping SPY or spiking SPY. We'll see how that happens and how this works after I read this to you guys. But what we see is once these rise, it likely puts pressure on these swaps, and then GameStop, AMC have that volatility event like we're talking about. Now, the Japanese 10-year government bond yield just fell to 1.465, which matters because it's right below the psychological level of 1.5%. Now, that might sound a little bit dumb, but big investors start to fade right around this level, and Japan has a major bond auction this Tuesday, aka tomorrow. So this auction is for 10-year Japanese government bonds, Japan's most important bond. If the yield being offered is too low, under 1.5%, which it is, investors may not buy. Now, that's what traders call a failed auction. This is weak demand, higher costs, and a market ripple effect. At bond auctions, governments sell debt to raise money. Yields reflect how much interest they must pay. If investors think the yield isn't worth the risk, they demand more or skip the auction. And this is how borrowing gets more and more expensive. And a failed auction doesn't mean no one shows up. It just means the bids are weak or come in asking for higher yields. The result, bond prices fall, yields spike, and future auctions get harder, and it can spiral fast if confidence drops. And we could go through why yields dropped because the U.S. jobs report was weak. Markets now expect the Fed to cut rate interest sooner, which caused U.S. bond yields to fall. It causes a whole shift globally in markets that aren't just the U.S. market. But long story short, Japan has their bond offering tomorrow. How that occurs, how it can affect yields, can affect our swaps. And we're going to be paying attention to the effect on that. We're going to be watching the JPY 10-year government bond yields. Next, we want to talk about how $32,000 of $45 calls expiring in 25 days were purchased on GameStop. This isn't the biggest trade we've seen, but we have seen more and more buy orders come through on the dark pool as well as call options as well. But again, these could just be hedges. These could be some sort of strategy by market makers, and there is also sell walls that they are pinning up on GameStop's chart as well. Speaking of GameStop's chart, we're going to bring up somebody else's chart. Mooncake, shout out Mooncake741 over on X. This is a pretty decent chart that I just like to look at instead and make things simpler for you guys. That way we can take a deep breath. We saw that we got the weekly golden cross on GameStop. We saw that we broke below a key level, but we're testing 22 bucks, which is about the lowest I believe we should possibly go because we have as much cash on hand to buy back the entire float. Is that going to happen? Not necessarily, but even a single buyback can significantly jump the company. Also, we never know how much we actually have because they bought Bitcoin at X price, which is not revealed, and they have had a what I believe is smash out earnings, which is going to be reported in September, and then ultimately coming into 2026, the company, in my opinion, will be valued much higher than 22 bucks, whether it short squeezes or not. Anyway, alongside all that, the 2021 bull cycle. We break the 200 EMA, which is the blue line. Then we consolidate upwards around the 200 EMA. Break the 200 EMA, yeah, and then consolidate upwards around the 200 EMA, and then we squeeze, and then the same thing, 2025 bull cycle. Break out the 200 EMA, consolidate sideways around the 200 EMA, which we're seeing right here, and then we squeeze. Could it be that simple? Could it be that easy? Possibly. I mean, the last time we saw this at this rate was back then. So we could see the same thing happen. And I believe things are setting up that way. So I just wanted to put it on your radar. Now, shorts just lost $7.42 billion on Carvana. And that is in part to the company's turnaround via increasing revenue, which is exactly why I believe the same thing will happen. In fact, at a much worse rate for GameStop short sellers. If they could do it with swaps on GameStop, why couldn't they do it on Carvana? There has to be something that really devastated short sellers. And at least right now, at least what they're telling us is it's the fundamentals. And if GameStop's fundamentals can turn this bad or turn this good to crush shorts like Carvana, then that is exactly what we should see in the near future. Guys, I want you to keep an eye on DJT. We broke below key levels, but there's a lot of buying going on. There's a buy block all the way to 1650. And if DJT gets back above $18.45, I will be putting an eye on it to get back into this wedge. I think we have a lot of upside. Also, major earnings this week. Tonight, Palantir reports earnings. I want to know in the comments down below, just drop Palantir up or Palantir down. I want to see what majority thinks, or if you think it's going to be a flat kind of premium burn by the market makers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, HIMS reports tonight. This should be a fun one. This is one that short sellers battle with. And if there is another blowout, I think this one can just be disgusting. I mean, you never really know what you're going to see with HIMS. You could see the company drop 30 or jump 36% tonight. You never really know what's going to happen with this one. So we have a fun earnings tonight, at least to watch for, and then some to pay attention to before open. Pfizer, CAT, so on and so on. But yeah, guys, as far as the rest of the earnings, we'll talk about it while we go out throughout the week. That is what I got for you guys for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching or found value out of the video. Let me know what you think about BioStem Technologies in the comments down below. That is it. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Socks out.